Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in and checking me out. So, this is kind of a bummer because I just did a whole podcast and looked down and realized that it wasn't recording. So, I'm going to try to remember all the wonderful tidbits that I shared. I've been talking to a lot of people lately that are dealing with autoimmune issues, Lyme disease, breast implant illness, of course, fibromyalgia, thyroid issues, all of these and more are autoimmune issues. And what I've really been coming across is that diet isn't really talked about. Now, I had a lot of autoimmune issues for a long time, and I am all about the diet and what you eat. But it didn't occur to me that nightshades were bothering my body. Now, it wasn't until I did a test, an allergy test, that showed that I was having problems with peppers, which is something I'm a big fan of because I love hot sauce. So I'm putting it on everything, which means that daily I'm getting a dose of nightshades. So there's a lot of foods that you wouldn't even realize are nightshades. Spices, curry, all tomatoes are nightshades. You might know that, but it's specifically the skin and the seeds that are giving people a hard time. We've got eggplant. A lot of people tell me, I don't eat eggplant. But if you're eating potatoes, French fries, potatoes in your soup, potatoes in your breakfast, any kind of peppers, tomato ketchup. Anyway, the point is these things, they're known for fighting back. That's why these foods are nightshades. They fight back. They don't want to be eaten. So they have a response to being eaten, which makes you flare up. It's an inflammatory. So, normally as adults or, walking around, our body is already dealing with so much. And unless you're already not healthy or you're battling something or you're having a hard time, you might not notice that your body is having a hard time with a nightshade. You might not have any issues at all. But if you're having an inflammatory response and you're autoimmune issues, then any little thing can trigger you. For me, I have a hard time with dairy and gluten. My daughter growing up did too. She kind of had issues from the get-go. Now, I was pregnant with her with my breast implant illness. And anyway, that's a sore subject for me. But because of that, I've been working to clear up her gut for leaky gut syndrome, and she's had leaky gut issues. Now, she loves tomatoes, and I never even thought that would be the one thing that's still tripping us up, because we do a lot of stuff to repair her belly. And not only that, skipping ahead, is that we've dealt with that, and now here I am going, okay, so I have to cut out all my hot sauce. And I'm having neuropathy issues myself, which is another autoimmune issue. And I'm not someone who sits around eating ho-hos all day. If you know me, you know that I'm pretty strict with diet. Now, I'm an 80-20 girl, so I do have my sweet tooth, and I'm realistic about life. But, I'm not eating gluten, I'm not eating dairy, and this is for years now. I had to stop when I was breastfeeding my daughter, and she's 5.5. So here and there I'll cheat, but for the most part, I've been pretty strict. Now, I've been explanted for 2.5 years. And now this podcast isn't just for people who, have breast implant illness. I know I talk about it a lot, but it's because, it's a big subject right now. But anybody with fibromyalgia or dealing with these autoimmune issues, personally, I think that there's always a detox that needs to happen. Obviously, the body is taxed. Now, if you're dealing with, the autoimmune, doing an autoimmune anti-inflammatory diet it just makes sense. Now, that being said, we're going back to leaky gut syndrome, and that's when you get the micro tears in the belly, and, the bacteria and the food particles and the parasites that would normally in a healthy body just be, pushed through the colon are floating into your bloodstream. And if you don't, if you're not healing that, if you're not alkalining the body and eating proper digestive enzymes, and your body's not digesting, then your body's just getting sicker and sicker. So the leaky gut syndrome has got to be sorted out. And, the autoimmune will help with that. Getting the toxins out will help with that. There is one supplement that I absolutely love, and it removes glyphosate from the body, and it helps repair the microbiome, which is a fancy word for the skin lining of your stomach and intestines. you want to eat things like rice bran solubles, which is not a grain for those of you who think that, that grains are bad. And I think that, if you're healing your body, you want to stay away from grains. Like I said, a healthy body that's not dealing with autoimmune can handle grains a lot easier. Now, that being said, bringing it to that is the lectins in the food. Now, I want to bring it back around, is that basically the lectins are all the foods, those nightshades that are fighting your body. Those little things are called lectins, and that's what's fighting you off and giving you tummy problems. So if you've ever sprouted foods, have you ever seen a plant sprout up? It has to be watered, right? The water actually breaks something down in the seed. So nuts and seeds and beans are a lot easier to digest if they're sprouted. And that's something that Dr. G, who I listened to his podcast and I loved it, doesn't talk about, and maybe I missed it in another one, but that if you sprout your foods, the lectins either go away or they're cut in half. And I've been doing my own research on that because I love beans, and going plant-based right now, I don't know what else I'll eat without it. But sprouting your food is very easy, and not only that, it turns the thing that you're eating into a plant protein. How does that happen? Because it breaks down the enzyme that keeps it solid. Now, it's an enzyme inhibitor, so if you were to eat that, the enzymes in your belly have a hard time breaking it down, which is another reason people have a hard time with grains. So this is something that I learned a long, long time ago, and I absolutely love it. And so if you take the time to buy sprouted grains, which there's lots, or you sprout your own, your body can digest it so much easier, and you can eat the foods you love still. So basically, the water breaks down the enzyme so that it breaks it into a plant protein. Now, protein has to go through our liver. If you're already having issues with digestion and you're overwhelming your body with proteins, which is why I'm doing a plant-based diet, then you're still going to have a hard time digesting and healing the body. So that brings me to this conversation about proteins. Now, I'm having a hard time digesting proteins. I saw it on my blood work. It was kind of a shock to me. I ordered some fabulous protein digestive enzymes that just specifically digest protein, and I'm already feeling better. But plant protein is the easiest to digest. So we're going to give you a scale of the easiest to digest proteins and the hardest to digest. So the easiest to digest proteins are plant protein. And then is poultry, chicken, and turkey. And then goes beef. So beef is harder than chicken. Chicken's harder than plant protein. And then after beef is pork. And then after pork is soy protein. Now, soy is in everything right now. It's a cheap filler. They're putting it in everything. And not only that, it is another inflammatory. So if you're eating anything processed or compiled, even if it says organic on it, you'll be surprised. Look, it's soy. I looked in my mayonnaise, and guess what? First ingredient, my organic soy in my organic mayonnaise. It was heartbreaking. So not only that, soy oil is a cheap filler, and same with canola oil. And those two things were originally industrial oils. They were used in machinery. They're not meant for the body. The body has a very hard time digesting them. So I'm not trying to get off on a tangent here, but I can't help it. It's kind of what I do. So I'm going to wrangle it back in. So just to kind of recap here, if you're having autoimmune issues, stay away from nightshades. I'm going to put a little list of nightshade vegetables and spices and everything on this podcast. But nightshades, stay with easy to digest proteins. If you're having a hard time with proteins, take a protein digestive enzyme. Also, if you can't get away from grains, sprout your grains to start with. Sprout your seeds. Specifically, the best nuts that are supposed to be easy to digest are macadamia nuts, walnuts, and then there was one other. But I absolutely love pumpkin seeds. Those also kill off parasites, and you can get those sprouted fairly easily, or you can sprout them yourself. So stay with an easy to digest diet. Stay away from nightshades. Eat only sprouted grains if you can. If you can stay away from grains, That's wonderful too. Anyway, like I always have to give my little disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm a holistic wellness coach. Do your own research. All of this comes from my own personal experience. I've gone through so many different digestive issues that I'm always researching. So I'm just happy to share my information with you, and I'm always happy to have information shared with me. So if you have something wonderful that you would like to share, please comment and let me know. If there's something that you would like to hear about, please comment and let me know. All right, I so appreciate you listening to me, and I look forward to seeing you on our next podcast.